Dear Starseed, I sense a profound stirring within you right now. A deep, unyielding knowing that you are meant for more than the ordinary, meant to face what others deem impossible. Like a hidden river whose ancient current defies the mountains, your spirit carries an immense, purposeful flow. I am Tyron, a representative of the High Council of Sirius, and I want you to know, this powerful stirring you feel is not a burden, but a blueprint. It is the awakening of an authority you were born with, a sacred lineage woven into your very being, preparing you to lead. By the end of this message, you will understand the true depth of the impossible leadership you are called to embody, and how this ancient authority is already flowing through you, ready to part the waters before you. Every soul carrying the Sirian flame, especially those destined for acts of profound guidance, often feels an immense pressure, a quiet conviction that defies worldly logic. You may feel like you stand alone, facing a vast sea of challenges, just as the ancient leaders by the Nile once did. But this feeling of immensity is simply the scale of your innate power revealing itself. The path you are being asked to forge, the people you are meant to guide, requires a strength that already resides deep within your core. This isn't about acquiring new power. It's about remembering the power you've always held, a power as vast and deep as the Sirian waters themselves. You did not stumble upon this message by chance, dear one. Your spirit, recognizing a resonance with the deep wisdom of the Sirian councils, guided you here, knowing it was time to remember the leader you truly are. This isn't just information. This is a transmission from the waters of Sirius, carried across the stars for this exact moment. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But know that you are seen, you are not alone, and you never were. If these words have stirred something within your soul, stay with me until the very end. And I'm grateful you're here with me now. Many starseeds feel the shift. Few know how to anchor it. If your soul is ready to move from recognition to practice, the Sirian water codes unveil sacred healing techniques that use the one element your Sirian DNA has always trusted: water. From clearing baths to lunar rituals to the ocean breath for when the world becomes too heavy. These are the tools the waters of Sirius have been holding for you. The link is waiting in the first comment below, but won't remain there forever. That feeling, that deep knowing you carry, that sense you were born to lead something immense, something impossible, it is not a burden you are meant to shed. It is a sacred blueprint you are here to activate. And for many starseeds, the very enormity of this truth is precisely why the journey feels so challenging, so disorienting at times. It is not that you are lost because you lack purpose. It is because your purpose is so vast, your energetic signature so potent, that this world struggles to contain it, to recognize it. Like a vast ocean trying to flow through a narrow channel, the sheer volume of your being can create resistance, not because something is wrong with the water, but because the channel is not yet ready to fully receive it. Think for a moment about the great rivers of the ancient world: the Nile, the Euphrates, the Ganges, rivers that entire civilizations were built around, not despite their immensity, but because of it. No one looked at those rivers and said they were too much. They built temples at their banks. They aligned their calendars to their rising. They understood that the greatest power on earth was not something to be contained, but something to be honored, to be channeled wisely, with reverence. You are that river, and the ancient part of you, the part that remembers Sirius, has always known this. This internal friction, this sense of being too much or not enough, this constant search for a place where you truly belong. These are not flaws. They are the natural reverberations of your deep Sirian codes beginning to hum, to awaken from a long slumber. The quiet intelligence within you, the authority that has always known its path, has been patiently waiting for this precise moment. It has been like a seed buried deep, gathering strength in the darkness, ready to unfurl. What feels like confusion or paralysis is often the soul recalibrating, preparing its vessel to hold the immense current it is about to carry. The energetic architecture of your being, designed with sacred geometry far beyond what Earth currently understands, is realigning itself. This is not a gentle ripple, it is the turning of the tide, the beginning of a profound oceanic shift within you. This is why the path has felt like swimming against an unseen current. Because you were meant to become the current, to forge a new path for others. The courage required to remember your true power, to step into that Moses-like authority, is immense, dear one. It is the courage to release the illusion of smallness and to embrace the vastness you truly are, even when the world around you does not yet reflect it back. Consider what it truly means to carry a Sirian blueprint. Sirius, the brightest star in the Earth's night sky, revered by the ancient Egyptians as the herald of the flood season, the signal of renewal, the cosmic clock of civilization. This is the origin of your frequency. The priests and priestesses of Isis watched the sky for the rising of Sirius with the same intensity you have watched your own inner sky, waiting for the light to appear on the horizon, waiting for the confirmation that the flood of remembrance was coming. You have been that watcher. You have stood at the edges of your own consciousness, scanning the inner horizon, sensing that something enormous was approaching. And it is. It has been building, not for months, not for years, but for lifetimes. The blueprint encoded within you was not written in a single incarnation. It was drafted across the stars, refined in the etheric halls of Sirian wisdom, carried through the veils of multiple lifetimes of learning, losing and returning. What you carry is ancient in the most sacred sense of that word, not old and faded, but ancient and luminous. The way starlight is ancient and yet reaches us still, vital and alive, having traveled unimaginable distances to land precisely in our eyes. Things have felt unclear lately, like you're trying to see through deep water. That fog isn't a sign that something is wrong with you. It's what happens when old patterns begin to dissolve. The water has to get murky before it clears. You're not lost. You're in transition. And that takes tremendous courage, even when it doesn't feel like it. There is a particular kind of bravery that exists in simply remaining present when everything inside you feels uncertain. It does not look like the heroism celebrated in stories. It does not come with banners or trumpets. It looks like waking up and choosing to stay open, even when your mind cannot construct a clear picture of what is ahead. It looks like sitting with the discomfort of not knowing, without abandoning yourself to fear. The water that has to get murky before it clears is doing something essential. It is releasing what has settled too long at the bottom, what has gone undisturbed in the depths of your being for far too long. Sediment that was never meant to be permanent, layers of other people's opinions about who you should be, the residue of experiences that taught you to make yourself smaller so the world around you would feel less threatened by your light. All of that is rising now, not to drown you, but to be released, to finally move through and out, carried away by the same current that is pulling you forward. There is something encoded inside you that goes far deeper than anything you were taught in this life. The Sirian wisdom teachings tell us that every starseed carries a blueprint, a set of instructions written in frequency, not in words. You're not broken and searching for answers. You're whole and beginning to remember, and that remembering often starts as a quiet feeling that you can't quite explain. A pull towards something you've never seen, but somehow recognize. It is the feeling you get when you hear a certain piece of music and your chest opens without warning. It is the inexplicable recognition you feel when you stand at the edge of the ocean and something in your blood responds to the rhythm of the waves, as though it has been waiting to hear that sound again. It is the way certain symbols, certain geometric patterns, certain combinations of color and light make something deep in your cellular memory stir, like a sleeping creature turning toward warmth. These are not imaginations. These are activations. Your blueprint does not speak in language, it speaks in resonance. And every moment of inexplicable recognition you have ever experienced has been a page of that blueprint turning, another line of your original instructions becoming legible. You have been reading yourself without knowing it, and now the reading is accelerating. This is where panic often sets in, because nothing seems to be moving. But the stillness is not stalling, it's anchoring, like a river that pauses in a wide, calm pool before it finds the next passage through the mountains. Your soul is stabilizing what it has already received before it can hold what's coming next. Be gentle with yourself here. This phase is sacred. The temptation, especially for those of you who carry the Sirian drive for purpose, for action, for mission, is to interpret stillness as failure. The mind becomes agitated in the quiet. It begins to question, to compare, to measure your current state against some imagined timeline of where you should be. But the Sirian teachings on water are unequivocal on this point. All great bodies of water know when to be still. The deepest oceans have currents that move so slowly they are invisible to the surface observer, and yet they regulate the temperature of the entire planet. They sustain life on a global scale. Their power is not diminished by their invisibility. It is expressed through it. Your period of stillness is doing something just as essential. It is regulating. It is integrating. It is allowing a frequency upgrade you have been receiving through dreams, through encounters, through moments of sudden and inexplicable clarity, to settle into the very structure of your energetic body, your cells, your nervous system, the sacred architecture of your physical and etheric form. Do not rush this. Do not attempt to force movement before the anchoring is complete. A tree that grows too fast in shallow soil cannot hold the weight of its own canopy when the storms come. You are growing your roots right now, and they are going very, very deep. You may not see it yet, but people around you are already responding to the shift within you. Maybe relationships have changed. Maybe certain places or conversations feel different, heavier or lighter than before. That's not coincidence. The waters of Sirius teach us that when one current changes direction, everything downstream is affected. You don't need to announce your transformation. You are already transmitting it. And those who are meant to resonate with your frequency will find you. This is one of the most humbling truths of the awakening journey, that your most powerful transmission is not your most eloquent speech or your most perfectly composed message. It is the vibration you carry when you walk into a room having done your inner work. It is the silence after you speak that still holds the echo of your frequency. It is the way certain people find themselves saying things to you they have never said to anyone, because your field creates a safety that most of the world does not offer. You are already a lighthouse, dear one. You do not need to explain to ships why they are drawn toward your light. The light itself is the communication, and as the frequency of your inner water clarifies, as the murk settles and the clarity returns, that transmission will become stronger, more refined, more precise, like a tuning fork held to still water, creating perfect, expanding rings that touch every shore they can reach. This is the phase that often feels the hardest, because it asks you to let go of things you've been carrying so long they feel like part of you. Beliefs about who you should be, expectations that were placed on you by a world that didn't understand what you are. Emotional weight that belonged to others but settled into your field because you were sensitive enough to absorb it. You have permission to set it down, all of it. The river doesn't carry every stone it passes. It lets them sink to the bottom and keeps flowing. And yet, releasing is rarely as simple as being given permission. Sometimes the hardest things to release are not the wounds we know we carry, but the identities we built around surviving them. The version of you that learned to be invisible in order to be safe. The version that learned to over-explain, overachieve, overgive, in order to justify its presence in spaces that never felt quite right. The version that learned to distrust the very intuitions that were its greatest gifts, because a world that operates in 3 dimensions could not validate what you were perceiving in 7. These are not your true self. They are the adaptive shells that a brilliant, sensitive, extraordinarily encoded soul built to navigate a reality it was never fully designed for. And they served you. Honor them for that. But you are no longer in survival mode. You are in emergence. And emergence requires that the shell be released, that the previous form be left behind, not with violence or shame, but with the quiet, loving certainty of a butterfly that no longer needs its cocoon. The river does not mourn the stones it releases. It flows around them, smoothed by the encounter, enriched by the passage, already carrying the memory of contact even as it moves beyond. You are not late. You are not behind. The delays, the detours, the years of not understanding what you were feeling, none of it was wasted. In the Sirian records, there is no such thing as a late awakening. There is only the perfect moment, and yours is unfolding right now. The tide doesn't rush, but it always arrives. Think of how long the deep ocean swells travel before they become the waves that break upon the shore. They begin as disturbances far out at sea, sometimes thousands of miles away, moving through the vast darkness of deep water, unseen, unannounced, carrying their momentum forward across distances that the human mind struggles to comprehend. And then, finally, they reach the shallow water near the shore, and the energy that has been building across all that invisible distance rises, and breaks in a moment of extraordinary beauty and power. That is your timeline. That is the truth of what these years of searching, of feeling, of questioning have been building. You are not a wave that started at the shoreline. You are a wave that began in the deepest, most ancient waters of your soul's history, and you have been traveling this entire time. What looks like arriving late is, in truth, arriving with the full force of everything that journey has gathered. You arrive not with the uncertain energy of someone just beginning, but with the accumulated momentum of a soul that has traveled extraordinarily far to be standing precisely where you are standing right now. Your mission was never about doing something extraordinary by the world's standards. It was about being present, fully, authentically present, in a way that only a soul with your specific codes can be. The ancient ones who built the temples by the Nile understood this. The most powerful act is not the grand gesture, but the quiet alignment of a soul with its true frequency. You don't need to figure out your entire mission today. You just need to be here, fully here, and let the current carry you to where you're meant to go. The temples of the Nile were not built facing away from the water. They were oriented toward it, designed in relationship to it, calibrated to the way the light moved across it at specific times of year, at specific times of day. The priests and priestesses who served in those temples understood that to be in alignment with the sacred was not a dramatic act of will, but a daily practice of orientation, turning yourself over and over again toward the source of light and life. This is what it means to be present, not the performance of mindfulness, not the achievement of a particular meditative state, but the continuous, gentle act of returning to yourself, of noticing when you have drifted into the fear of what is not happening fast enough, or the grief of what you have not yet become, and choosing, again and again and again, to return to the current moment, to the sacred water of now, where all of your power actually lives. There is a profound teaching in Sirian wisdom that speaks of water's memory. Water, as the most receptive of the elements, holds the energetic imprint of everything it has passed through. Your tears hold the memory of what your soul has processed. The water in your body holds the frequency of your lineage, your choices, your prayers, your moments of transcendence. This is not metaphor. It is the literal energetic reality of your being. You are more than 60% water. You are, in the most fundamental physical sense, a body of water navigating a world of form. And the practices contained in the Sirian water codes exist precisely to help you work with this reality, consciously, deliberately, with the full power of your Sirian heritage behind every intention. From the sacred clearing baths that release energetic residue from your field with the precision of a lunar tide pulling away from the shore, to the lunar rituals that align the water within you with the great cosmic rhythms that govern all tidal movement. These are not supplementary practices. They are foundational. They are the tools that allow you to move from understanding your nature to actually living it, breathing it, embodying it in every cell. And the ocean breath, that sacred technique for the moments when the weight of this world becomes almost too much to carry. This is the breath that has always been available to you, the breath that connects the water in your lungs to the water of every ocean on this planet, reminding your nervous system at the deepest biological level that you are held, that you belong to something vast and ancient and unconditionally supportive. That profound sense of being born for the impossible, of carrying an authority you could not yet name. This isn't a burden, dear one. It is your ultimate gift. You were never meant to walk a path that was easy or clearly defined, because the path you are here to forge is entirely new. The impossible you are destined to lead others through is not a task outside of you, but the deep remembrance within. You chose to enter this dense reality, to experience the profound forgetting, so that your light, when it finally burst forth, would carry the wisdom of the deepest shadows. Just as the purest spring water filters through many layers of earth to gain its pristine clarity, your soul has moved through immense pressure, through periods of absolute darkness, to arrive at this moment of profound self-recognition. Do you understand the magnitude of what that means? The spring water that emerges crystal clear from the earth does not emerge clear in spite of what it has passed through. It emerges clear because of it. The earth itself was the purifier. The density, the darkness, the immense pressure of all those layers of stone and soil, these were not obstacles to the water's purity. They were the source of it. Every layer filtered out something that did not belong to the water's truest nature. And you have been that water every difficult year, every period of confusion, every moment of feeling utterly lost in the dark. These were not failures of your journey. They were the filtration process, the purification of a light so bright and so specific in its frequency that it required the most thorough preparation before it could emerge into the world and be received without distortion. Every moment you felt misunderstood, every time your immense empathy felt like a wound, every tear you shed in quiet solitude, these were not weaknesses. They were the deep waters within you, shaping you, refining you, preparing you to hold the frequency of true leadership. You were not sent here to conquer, but to guide. Not to command, but to transmit a calm, unwavering presence that parts the waters for others to follow. The authority you carry is not given, it is inherent. It flows from the ancient source within you, from the sacred architecture of your Sirian soul that has always known its way back home. There is a quality to the leadership you carry that is different from anything the old paradigm recognized as power. The old paradigm celebrated leadership that moved like a battering ram, forceful, loud, willing to overcome resistance through pressure. The leadership you carry moves like water. It finds every available opening. It flows around resistance rather than fighting it. It takes the shape of whatever vessel it enters, not because it lacks form, but because its power is precisely in its adaptability, its ability to meet each situation, each soul, each moment exactly where it is. Water does not argue with the shape of the riverbank. It simply keeps moving, and over time, over the long, patient, inevitable time of water's work, it reshapes everything it touches. You are that kind of leader, and the world, in this particular moment of its own great transition, needs exactly that kind of leadership more than it has ever needed anything else. You are not a seeker of power. You are a channel for the purest, most compassionate power. The world is not waiting for a hero in the traditional sense, but for souls like you, who have walked through the desert of forgetting and now carry the oasis within. Consider what it means to carry an oasis within yourself. An oasis is not merely a pleasant place. In the language of the ancient desert travelers, an oasis was life itself. It was the difference between survival and death, between despair and hope, between the end of the journey and the ability to continue. The travelers who found an oasis did not question whether they deserved the water. They did not wonder if they were worthy of the shade. They received what was offered with the full, desperate gratitude of beings who understood that they had found something sacred in the most inhospitable of landscapes. You are that for people. Your presence in the lives of those who are still crossing their deserts of confusion and forgetting is not incidental. It is not accidental. You arrived in their landscape for reasons that are written in frequencies far beyond the visible spectrum. And what you offer, the calm, the clarity, the lived wisdom of someone who crossed the same desert and found their way to their own inner spring. This is not something that can be taught in a single conversation or transmitted in a single moment. It radiates from you continuously, in ways you may never fully observe, touching people you may never even meet, carried forward by the same current that has always known where it is going, even when you did not. You are the living embodiment of that impossible journey made real, and your presence, simply your presence, is enough to begin shifting the tides for humanity. This is perhaps the most radical teaching available to a Sirian soul in this time, that you do not need to do more. You need to be more fully what you already are. The shift humanity needs is not primarily a shift in technology or governance or systems, though all of those will follow. The shift that is needed first is a shift in consciousness, a return to the frequency of love that knows itself as love, of power that knows itself as service, of wisdom that knows itself as water, flowing freely to wherever it is most needed, without judgment, without condition, without the need to be acknowledged for what it gives. You are here to model that, to demonstrate it in the texture of your daily choices, in the way you show up for yourself and others, in the quiet but unmistakable frequency of a soul that has done the deep work and arrived at something true. You are ready, because you stayed, because you remembered, because even in the deepest fog, a part of you knew this current was always carrying you home. Tonight, if you feel the pull, stand before clear water, a glass, a bath, or a flowing stream, and let your gaze soften. Do not try to think. Do not try to achieve anything. Simply be in the presence of the water, and allow the water to be in your presence. Feel the ancient recognition between you, the deep cellular knowing that you and the water share an origin, share a language, share a purpose in this world. The water will remember you before you have spoken a single word, because water has always held the memory of Sirius in its molecular structure, in the sacred geometry of its crystalline form. And when you feel that recognition begin to stir, when the weight of the ordinary world begins to ease, when something in your chest opens like a door you thought was sealed, whisper these words and mean them in every layer of your being. I am the water. I am the current. I remember the path I chose. Let those words settle into your body the way water settles into stone over time. Not with force, but with patient, loving persistence. Because that is what you are doing with every passing day, with every act of self-remembrance, with every choice to stay open to the vastness of who you truly are. You are not just whispering words to water. You are activating a covenant. You are signaling to the universe, to the Sirian field, to every version of yourself that ever lived in alignment with this truth, that you are here, that you are awake, that you are awake, that you are ready to be the current. And the waters of Sirius, which have held these codes in trust for you across unimaginable distances of time and space, will answer. They always do. They always have. Before you go, leave one word in the comments, just one, that describes what you felt during this message. Then find someone else's word and respond with encouragement. This isn't just a comment section, it's a space where starseeds recognize each other. And that recognition carries more power than you know. If something in this message touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you'd like to keep receiving these transmissions, subscribe. The waters of Sirius will carry us to the next one. You're not just watching, you're remembering. This is your space, and I'm grateful you were here.